Started. Hello, everyone. It is still Sunday, the 13th of July, 2025, and I'm coming at you again, even though I just did a video. And I haven't even had a break since 2:30 in the morning. I've been doing so much research regarding Mark Carney's shares and ETFs and stuff like that and conflicts of interest. But anyways, it came on my feed. I'm very interested in Rainmaker, and obviously I'm very interested in the fact that he was possibly the fall guy. Um, uh, for again this sort of friggin' flooding that happened in Texas, and every time I look into the news for that stuff, it's it's absolutely devastating. And I don't want to get too much into it, but first responders, hero types, also losing their lives. There was apparently two little girls that had they were like holding each other, and they had a friggin' cross in their hands. Oh my God, it's just been so tragic. And in order to make sure that this stuff never happens again, we need to do a lot more research into how this actually happened. And so Jimmy Dore had on Dane Wiginton, who I'm going to look more into. But the title is, and I'm going to share it, but there was nothing natural about the Texas floods. I absolutely agree with that. If you take a look at my videos, and again, I was a couple of days late in reporting it. So I think the first video I did on Rainmaker Technologies was 6 days ago, so over a week ago, and then again 2 days ago. And I was absolutely saying that causation does not mean correlation. I said that repeatedly, so take a look at those videos. But I was sharing the fact that Rainmaker was in fact in and operating around the area where the flooding took place within 24 miles in some cases, and I showed the NOAAs, the contracts, etc. I also mentioned Palantir and giving funding to Rainmaker Technologies, and that being in itself a red flag. But also, if you look at my whiteboard that I created, like it was either I forget if it was the end of December of 2022 or January of 2023, early January. But on my friggin' list, and I've talked about this before, but you've got HARP, which is going to be brought up. You got CERN, DARPA, geoengineering, cloud seeding, etc. And this was going to be something that was going to be ongoing for the next couple of years that we need to take a look into. And I've even shared videos from Dutch Sensei about Canadian wildfires and radar technologies and sonar technologies and EMF technologies and frequencies, and how these are also impacting and manipulating the weather. And so just I want people to have full transparency here. So here we go. Rainmaker Company caused the deadly floods in Texas ? And then in here, if you take a look, I did add in the the library, the NOAA government official government documents, and then the specific contracts that Rainmaker had and where they're operating in, and I talked about it at length. And again, correlation does not mean causation, but I was saying we absolutely need to take a look at this company and the connection with Palantir, and then what else could have assisted in the fact that this was record 2025 breaking floods in the area. And again, because full transparency is just a couple of days ago as well. I was also speaking about it because it's important. Like, so many lives were lost. This is tragic. And once you know better, you do better. So I was talking about it here, Rainmaker, international update. So it wasn't just that I was talking about, but this is where I was saying too, the correlation does not equal causation. But it's also easy to wipe away, scrub evidence. And so I'm going to share Jimmy Dore's video with Dane. He looks familiar, so I've probably looked at his work before. If he's posted stuff, and with some commentary.
So you are saying that the flood in Texas,
Me too,
according to some data that you have, was artificially engineered. Is that what you're saying?
There's nothing natural about that event. Nothing. When we see the frequency transmission interaction, holding that storm moisture in place, forcing it to precipitate out in one location, there's nothing natural about that. These are patented processes. It's not theory. It's not conjecture. It's not hypothesis.
And I also shared that first video about Rainmaker. I was showing how the NOAA, not just Rainmaker, I showed that if you look at my first link that I shared, you can look at multiple contracts, weather modification, cloud seeding, geo, all of that stuff within that first title, and then you can search by region. You can search by what effects they're looking for, etc., and the contract dates. And so take a look at that as well. And so again, I wasn't just focusing specifically on Rainmaker. However, definitely that needed to be the start state for everyone. Absolutely the start state. And if you're interested again in weather modification and what they actually do and what they allege they didn't do, even though it's on government websites, take a look at that video.
Now I want to talk about what happened in Texas. There was that huge flood. It wiped out that camp and lots of people. So here, plot thickens. Rainmaker confirmed it flew a 20. So there's a company called Rainmaker, I guess, and it confirmed it flew a 20-minute cloud seeding mission on July 2nd over Karnes County, located southeast of the Texas flood zone. Texas cloud seeding CEO, funded by Peter Thiel, connected to Palantir. No way. Meet Augustus Dorico. He's a 25-year-old tech bro. 25-year-old. Never, first of all, never trust a guy who's 25 named Augustus. That's my first rule of thumb.
Or 25. If you're a government agency or a girl,
Come on.
don't trust a guy that's 25 or younger. Is my advice.
And so he's a Thiel fellow, Peter Thiel fellow, who founded the weather modification startup called Rainmaker.
Yeah.
According to publicly available info, Dorico's company was reportedly cloud seeding over parts of Texas just 2 days before the historic flood hit those same regions. He received $100,000 through Peter Thiel's fellowship, the
nice.
same Thiel who co-founded Palantir, their surveillance and defense tech giant, tracking everything from troop movements to civilian behavior. Let that sink in. And as we all know, Palantir is very important because they are the secret police organization which protects trillionaire pedophiles from the rest of humanity. And without them, humanity wouldn't have any real problems, and we can't have that. So why is Palantir connected? Why is a Palantir-connected billionaire funding private weather experiments in Texas? Why is a 25-year-old with no public oversight allowed to modify the sky?
Good question.
They called it stewarding the natural world. Texas got biblical flooding instead. This isn't a theory. It's documented, privately funded, and totally unregulated. No vote, no consent, no accountability, just Thiel money, weather manipulation, and a flooded state left asking questions. And even Grok knows the truth. Grok, yes, Augustus Dorico founded Rainmaker, funded by Peter Thiel. They seeded clouds in Texas on July 2nd, 2 days before the deadly. He also claims he seeded clouds. Okay, so just to let you know.
Also, it's a 25-year-old young boy. Why would he be in a fellowship with Peter Thiel? I wonder. I wonder why Peter Thiel takes interest in these really young fellas and gives them stuff. Like how Mel Gibson would give his mistress a recording studio. He gives these kids dominion over the earth.
And just, you conspiracy nuts, not everything evil is connected to Peter Thiel and Palantir, just 97% of everything. So Rainmaker CEO, this is from Dallas Express, Rainmaker CEO, he's 25, to speak publicly amid cloud seeding scrutiny over Texas floods. And here he is. So he was asked directly if his cloud seeding had anything to do with the flood. I wonder what he's going to say. Let's listen.
The question is whether or not Rainmaker, cloud seeding on July 2nd, contributed to storms that occurred on July 4th. Did it enhance?
100%.
Did it intensify what we saw?
100%. How could anyone these days not know that they do this? It's been happening for decades. Do people still deny this is happening? Nubik, I'm telling you honestly, so many people I know, like when I approach this subject, they're like, that doesn't happen. It's not real. I'm like, are you friggin' kidding me? Are you kidding me? And it's the same thing. I'm like, this has literally been going on for friggin' generations now, right? And so I'm going to pull up the NOAA website because I brought it up just because I was going to share it afterwards. But like, how can people deny this? And yes, there are people still. It is Canada. We are very censored, and so maybe it's a lot of that. But activities subject to reporting, weather modification activities are defined as any activity performed with the intention of producing artificial changes in the composition, behavior, or dynamics of the atmosphere. And it gives us 15 CFR 908.1. I'm sorry if this is redundant for people. Again, this is in my previous video. And following then conducted as weather modification activities shall be reported, see 15 CFR 908.3. And I forget who it was, but said that he who controls the weather controls the world. Anyway, seeding or dispersing of any substance in the clouds or fog to alter drop size, distribution, produce ice crystals, or coagulation of droplets after the development of hail or lightning, or influence in any way the natural development cycle of clouds of their environment. And this is just what they're going to admit. Because then there's private companies as well that are doing a lot more than this. So using fires or heat sources to influence convective circulation or to evaporate fog, modifying the solar radiation exchange of the earth or clouds, which he's going to talk about, this guy, through the release of gases, dust, liquids, or aerosols into the atmosphere, or things like frequencies, modifying the characteristics of land or water surfaces by dusting or treating with powders, liquids, sprays, dyes, or other materials, releasing electrically charged or radioactive particles or ions into the atmosphere, applying shock waves, sonic energy sources, or other explosive or acoustic sources to the atmosphere, using aircraft propeller, downwash, jet wash, or other sources of artificial wind generation, using lasers or other sources of electromagnetic radiation. Okay, that's what he's going to be talking about, which enabled that flood, by the way, because again, the cloud seeding was in the area and it was held there, but he'll get into that. Other activities undertaken with the intent to modify the weather or climate, including solar radiation management activities and experiments. And so if you go down here, all the way to the bottom here, they can show, you can search by project designation, project number, date range, or activity. And so what I had provided specifically was for Rainmaker in my previous video, but there's so many other companies that are doing that. This is one of 10 of 1,098 entries and counting. And so, yeah, it still friggin' blows my mind that I'm still getting people, mostly in Canada, they're like, no, that doesn't happen. Even though and then you share pilot accounts confirming it. You're showing the video footage. You're showing the testing that has been done on soil and water after they spray, and even pilots admitting that other pilots are doing this, and it's during certain seasons, and they don't friggin' care. Like, well, everyone else is doing it, or they make the excuse, oh, well, you drove here. It's like, are you mad? Anyway, sorry. I've been up since 2:30, and I had like 3 coffees, as you can tell, and so I get a little amped up.
Some 36 to 48 hours later.
Anyway,
unequivocally, our cloud seeding operations on July 2nd did not impact the flooding that occurred later. And that said, my heart and prayers are still with all the people of Texas, and all those families that have been affected. It was a tragedy. But in cloud seeding on the 2nd, one, we are regulated by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, and we have what are called suspension criteria, where if there are National Weather Service flash flood warnings or severe storm warnings, then we cannot operate in those areas per the restrictions and regulations we have. Our meteorologists actually proactively suspended operations a day before the National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning. So we were ahead of the curve.
So I have 2 things I want to say before I throw it to you, Dane. The first thing is, nothing says smart like a mullet. Am I right? Come on.
Yeah, well, I mean, Palmer Luckey has the same thing. The jerk off with the drones. Remember all the drones?
Yeah.
That's Palmer Luckey, another Peter Thiel pal with a weird Lord of the Rings fellowship, right? This guy's dressed like Peter Thiel's pool boy, isn't he?
He's like a tech genius for dumb guys. That's what this guy. And
they're smart. They're just Twinkies.
And the numbers. The second thing I wanted to say. So, the guy being accused of a crime is being asked if he committed the crime and if the crime had any negative effect. That's like asking your dog who shit on the carpet. Am I kidding? You're never going to hear from the dog, and you're too stupid to read the reason. You can't ask this guy that, but they did. So there he is. Dane, now you are the premier expert on all of this.
It looks so familiar. Thanks. Sure. I didn't.
Why is a private company allowed to do cloud seeding, A, and B, he seems like guilty. What do you say to all this?
He's playing the part of a red herring in this equation.
The fall guy.
There's no question, scientifically speaking, whatever he did or didn't do, whatever his planes did or didn't do, it was not what caused what happened in Texas. And to further back that up, aside from the time gap between what he did and the meager amount of material that their aircraft would have dropped, perhaps 5 to 10 pounds at most, what kept that moisture, this is critically important, what kept that moisture precipitating in one spot was frequency transmission manipulation from the NEXRAD transmitter network. We recorded it. We recorded the same thing with Hurricane Harvey. Again, that's how they knew Harvey would end up where it did 7 days in advance and stay there for 3 days and dump 50 inches of rain, because the frequency transmissions, they have a repelling effect against the air mass and the moisture accumulation, And when you activate those transmissions all around that moisture accumulation, you hold it stationary and it precipitates out in one spot. And that's exactly what happened in Texas. And that definitely has nothing to do with whatever he did, but he's playing the part of mass distraction. Maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the involvement
I don't know about that.
Thiel.
Oh, but it is a distraction.
Again, that is definitely what he has done in a big way, showing up in every major media, everything, taking the focus off of the elephant in the equation, climate intervention operations.
So he's like the Oswald.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a good way
so
to say
it's
it.
like what?
Oh man, Dutch Sensei, like his license plate is HARP, and DARPA, HARP, CERN, NextRad, like these are very dangerous organizations, and the testing that they do and what they've done to the environment that people have been tracking. So I've talked about Dutch Sensei. There's a woman that checks this stuff out as well and tracks it as well, and storm watches, and just how interesting it is that there's like these like they're able to measure this in the and again this is no coincidence.
Oswald was to the JFK shooting. That's what this guy is to this cloud seeding and geoengineering.
It's sad, but
and you say so. You are saying that the flood in Texas, according to some data that you have, was artificially engineered. Is that what you're saying?
There's nothing natural about that event. Nothing. When we see the frequency transmission interaction, holding that storm moisture in place, forcing it to precipitate out in one location, there's nothing natural about that. These are patented processes. It's not theory. It's not conjecture. It's not hypothesis. Nothing natural about that event. And let's look at Hurricane Helene. We recorded that as well. That's a very damning recording. In real time, we recorded those transmissions to the NextRad network, steering that storm where it ended up and holding it there to precipitate everything out. And we're dealing with those legislators too, Jimmy and Kurt, in the Carolinas. One particularly honorable individual there, Representative Lee Gelreith, is so on board with fighting this issue that he's paying for billboards to expose this issue out of his own pocket. He made a very powerful statement in a 2-minute video, which we have posted on our site. He's former military, stating these programs hold our future in the balance. We have to stop them or we're done. On film, on the record. So we do have some very honorable representatives out there. Lee Gelreith is one.
And so what? So tell me, what kind of instrument do you have that, and what is it measuring? And that's how you know that they're keeping this weather system in place to dump.
It's not our instrument. It's an actual data loop for the NextRad network that we still have access to, which I am frankly surprised. I hope it doesn't now go away that I'm talking about it, but it's almost as if this cabal wants to leave a trail of breadcrumbs so that they feel justified about doing whatever they want because the public was told. But we have access to the actual data loops for that network that show the energizing of those facilities and they're interacting with the storm. So again, we have hard data. There's no blank spots here.
Yeah,
None.
well, you're not going to look. I mean, not you, but like it's like the iTunes agreement. These people are very legalistic. It's all.
So what he's talking about that they have access to. I'm going to pull a few things up here. So he was talking about the NextRad live radar loop, and so you've got it here, and so you got the NextRad live radar loop. You can zoom in or you can zoom out. It shows different areas. Flash flood warning, severe thunderstorm warning, snow, squall warning, special marine warning, tornado warning, live stream gauges, status, major flood, moderate flood, minor flood, action stage. You can go by different dates here, obviously not in the future. And so this is one of the ones he's talking about. This one is such a freaking interesting thing to go on. And here's another one. NextRad view. So again, just another link to one that I like to look at, National Weather Service. So you have here RDA status, operate, not operate, data last received, no data, plus or minus 5 minutes, between 5 and 30 minutes, over an hour, and then the different regions that they're operating in: Alaska, Central, Eastern Pacific, Southern, Western, showing Alaska and Hawaii. So you can just see what they're looking at. Radar, PAC-C, location, King Salmon, forecast office, AFC agency, FAA, VCP 35, RDA building 23, RDA status, operate, default, And today, 8 a.m. GMT, 15 seconds. Overlays, filters. Next red. Oh, why is it doing that to me? Okay. You can filter it. You can filter it by DOD, FAA. It just clutters it up. But anyway, I'll link these if anyone's interested, because I don't know how much longer this is going to be put up. But that's what he's talking about right now.
Always like a lawyer going into this office that doesn't do law, but they learn how to worm around the law, because that's the job, basically, to do this evil crap. So that is the thing. Exactly what you said. They go, oh, well, you were warned. It's like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where they're going to pave over the earth because you didn't go to the notice board that we're paving over the earth. That's not our fault. That's the mentality. And it's legalistic. I don't know. I don't understand why exactly. It has to do with the cult, but it is like that.
I would, if your followers search geoengineeringwatch.org hurricanes, look at Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Ian, Hurricane Helene.
Yeah.
I mean, what we've captured in real time as it happened is inarguable. Like with Harvey, for example, you can see the energizing of the transmission facilities. You can see how that holds the storm in place. It doesn't migrate past that. It doesn't break up. That's what happened in Texas, just precipitated out of one spot. So again, these are very sophisticated networks. Nothing to do with the 25-year-old mullet man and his rainmaking company.
You can't just.
Bottom line is, this is.
See, I don't like the fact that he's just dismissing that. There still needs to be investigations done, because he was cloud sitting in that in that area, and these can absolutely be held in place, like he's saying, for extended periods of time. And there's been studies done too where they allege, oh, it's quickly dispersed, and then there's no concerns about it, where there's been testing and measuring done where it's still in the atmosphere like 30 days later. It's unpredictable. And so I respect this guy. He's obviously incredibly brilliant, and on NextRad and radar technologies, etc., he's the expert. But again, we can't just discount the fact that these cloud seeding operations that are going on all over the US and in Canada, they are being impacted by these technologies. And so again, I'm just saying more research and more investigations need to be conducted, and not just dismiss Rainmaker. Respectfully speaking, I'm saying like more investigations need to be done into this, and again, more studies and more research and investigations into how these technologies impact the environment, but especially, and he's right, we do need to focus a lot on what HARP is doing, what CERN's doing, what friggin' DARPA is doing, and etc. Again,
top tier
my 2 cents.
Defense industry materials.
Oh, also, here's another great thing with leaving the trail out for you to pick up. They can find out who can pick up the trail. It's like dyeing the water to see the source of potential problems.
Yeah, they can, but there's no place to hide. You know, again, they could do anything to you, me, any of us, anytime they want. And I would argue that there's hiding in our cabins on the Titanic won't save us. We all need to be on deck doing our best to sound the alarm. So I'm grateful to you two both for that.
So, this thing. So what is the name of the? You say it very fast. What is the name of the network thing that you can get the data from? What is that called?
NextRad.
Next.
I just linked 2 of the pages I just talked about on this video now. So if you want to take a look or have access to it, feel free. Because again, like a lot of people, so many more people need to be looking at these weather modification, whatever you want to call it, organizations.
As it sounds, NextRad. And they will claim, just as they do with the HARP facility, just benign radar, nothing to see here. Yeah, sure, we're using 750,000 watts of power, but never mind that. This is just harmless radar. It's mind-numbing the way they try to skirt over.
Harmless radar? A microwave oven is a radar they put in a box.
Yes.
The guy that discovered that melted a candy bar cooked in his pocket by the radar dish, and that's how you learn it's a direct energy weapon.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. And about the IQs dropping, just so we fill in that blank,
Deuce.
Because we are getting dumber by the day. And how do you know when you're getting dumber by the day? IQs have dropped, according to peer-reviewed published study now in the U.S. in the last generation, 6 to 9 points.
Oh, geez.
That's big. 6 to 9 point IQ drop across the board in the U.S. last generation.
So
I obviously didn't watch the whole video yet, so a lot of this stuff is new to me, oncoming. I gotta look into that.
Turning gayer myself as well. I don't know if that has.
It's microplastics, Kurt. They're supposed to have that effect. We all have those in us now too.
I thought the vaccine made me.
By the way, here's another point. Okay, we all on the microplastics that are showing up in everyone. We have peer-reviewed study to back that up. Tremendous amounts, especially in the brain, all other organs as well. Yep. We know plastic is decomposing in the environment, yes, but we know polymer fibers are a key component in climate engineering. So the scientists we work with at Rensselaer Polytechnic in New York and the samples we gathered at altitude from a NOAA flying lab and a private jet platform, we found particles that they identified. They're the top people in the world as manufactured particles. That's not simple decomposition. That's climate engineering, and this is showing up in all of us. We're talking about 40 to 60 million tons a year. That's a lot.
And it accumulates.
Again, if we can't breathe without sucking this stuff up, is that not an immediate fight for life?
Yeah, my friend Nathan Reynolds said people that are worried about transhumanism. Well, I hate to tell you, most of us aren't actually like the original humans anymore, just based on the crap they've put in us over the years, over generations.
Even dumping chemicals and stuff like that in the soil and the water systems as well. Like I even showed in Lake Miramichi in Canada just a couple of years ago. And I was sharing that all around, like for this to be investigated, but why was it not? Because these were people working in government, and there was even a wildlife preservation officer. His name was like Billy or Bob or something like that. Anyways, I shared this video a few years ago, and he was watching this friggin' happen. And the guy that was live recording on his Facebook feed or whatever it was, like he got in friggin' trouble for it, and he got sick, and he was even recording fish dying. This is happening all over the place. So it's by land, air, and sea. We are getting so friggin' poisoned in so many different friggin' ways. It's just absolutely disgusting to me. And yeah, I don't know. I just sharing the information, like that's all I know what to do, because I have tried sharing this information to so many different levels of government, and I'm getting gaslit. And it's why? Because they're also involved in it, and they have shares and stocks in these companies as well that are doing this to us. And so even, again, I'm on all these tangents, but even the masks during the COVID pandemic, these microplastics that were deep inside like the lung and chest cavities from the friggin' masks. And like these were, and this is not good for the lungs. And I was talking about RSV would be increased in children, and then not having the proper lung development, organ development because of wearing these masks. I was talking about the carbon dioxide, all of that stuff. And then we were friggin' putting masks on infants and children. Like what a clown world we're living in right now.
Patience. So if you want to get real technical about it.
So Dane, let me ask you really quickly. You have another guest that's waiting. I have two questions for you. Do you think, so there seems to obviously be, there's a bunch of billionaires who fly around the world on private jets. Remember, one private jet plane burns more carbon than my car does in my lifetime. They all have these 400, 500 yachts that are bigger than football fields, some of them twice as big, yachts that are so big they come with support yachts. That's a real thing. That's a real thing. And those are the people who are screaming about climate change, and they want us living in storage containers, living in 15-minute cities, eating the bugs that hit us on the face. So these people obviously
15-minute cities. That is another thing that I've been talking about for years. I was literally one of the first people that I know of. And again, this is not a brag or anything like that. Like there's no awards for this, except for being stressed out. But yeah, I was warning people about this in Canada, and I was even taught like the companies that were enabling this too. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, this is the friggin' plan. Anyway,
have a agenda to make everybody afraid of climate change so that they can control them. That's obvious that that's what's happening. Now, whether you believe climate change, carbon-based climate change is real or not, it certainly has created a greening of the planet. There's more plants. You need carbon.
Who would have thought that trees breathe carbon dioxide, Jimmy? It was a fact I learned in school, yet somehow forgot for 20 straight years.
Isn't that something?
And if someone said it to me, I'd go, shut up, idiot.
So do you think that here's just a theory that some of these weather modification events, like you keep mentioning those hurricanes, what just happened in Texas, do you think it's to make people more afraid of climate change so they can institute their plans to control us through climate change legislation and climate change rules? What do you think to that, Dane?
I think there's much more to it. And that, again, when we saw
money control,
for example, the blizzards, you guys remember that in New Orleans this winter, blizzard in New Orleans, blizzard in Florida, blizzard on the Gulf Coast. What weren't we told? At the same time, in the polar regions, January 21st, interesting date for those blizzards, by the way. It was above freezing and raining in the polar regions, Alaska, Greenland, Iceland, Siberia. So we have a psychological aspect that as these programs do more damage, that convinces people that the damage really isn't done. If it's snowing in New Orleans, how could there possibly be damage to the planet, right? That's one aspect. Two, if we look at, for example, Hurricane Helene and the lithium mines there that the public was not willing to vacate, they certainly likely are now. Was that connected? Was that another layer to this equation? There are likely many layers. Let's look at Dubai. You guys may remember that Dubai got hit with 2 years worth of rain in 6 hours. And that coincidentally, it happened about 4 days after they said they were going to ditch the dollar. So again, is this a shot across the bow of any country that doesn't toe the line? They're wiped out with some sort of cataclysm, or populations that won't move off the patch of dirt that contains the lithium. Interestingly enough, many people don't know this, but Iran has discovered the second largest lithium deposit, they believe, globally. Yeah. That's interesting. How does that fit into the equation of them recently receiving what they got? So again, there's so much more to these equations, and with the weather warfare, covert way of clearing the land, or in the case of Lahaina, for example, Pacific Palisades. Yeah. Lots of variables here, Jimmy, lots of agendas, lots of objectives. But on the current course, if they continue to do this kind of damage, nobody's going to be here for long, and that includes them.
Okay. Dane, one more thing. I hate to keep bothering, but is there anything people can do? So they have these nanoparticles of aluminum, which is toxic, right? Everybody knows aluminum's toxic. They're finally taking RFK is getting it out of vaccines. Well, is there anything we can do to kind of help our body leach that and get rid of it naturally?
Yes, chelation is imperative. And let's make the equation, forgive me, a bit darker still. Yeah. We all have aluminum in us now. We all have mercury in us now from various sources, amalgam fillings, coal-fired power plants, vaccines. So when you combine those two already highly toxic metals, you have synergistic toxicity, which means the overall toxicity can go up in the case of those two metals as much as 10,000%, 100 times worse. It's a wonder any of us are walking and talking at this point. Chelation is essential, must be done carefully. If you chelate too quickly and too aggressively, you can do more harm than good, but it's essential to do every day to keep these metals operating through our systems and purging out of our systems. Essential.
What is chelation?
Various supplements and elements can free up these metals because they tend to adhere to cell receptors like a plaque. If you can free them up, and with the right chelation, migrate them out of your system, not just free them up so they can migrate somewhere else and readhere. Yeah. Again, chelation is something that needs to be taken seriously with proper guidance, but it is essential. And even simple elements like vitamin C and calcium, those are both chelators. If your body doesn't have enough calcium, it tends to substitute aluminum in its stead. That's definitely not what we want. So again, talking to a nutritionalist, there's supplements that are good for you anyway that help you chelate these metals out of your system. That's essential while we're fighting this battle.
Is there any place on the web where people can go to read about what kind of chelation they should be doing?
Certainly. Heavy metal chelation is a big subject. There's many different approaches and strategies with that. It needs to be an individual approach depending on your own physiology. But it is absolutely imperative. If you want to keep firing on all neurons for as long as possible, that is absolutely imperative.
Even like nattokinase, NMN. For me, like chelation, just because like I had a friend years ago, he was doing chelation, and it's spelled CHELATION, and I actually have EDTA in my cupboard, and I have for years, at least 5 years, and other ways again that you can detox from like these various toxins that we have within our bodies. And there's multiple ways you can do it. So you could do it with oral supplementation, or my friend was doing it intravenously as well, and that really also assists. And then augmenting with like things like vitamin D, E, A, K, etc., vitamin C, and there's so many different ways that you can get these. Like, but you have to get organic, healthy supplementation because there's a lot of garbage out there. And my goodness, even like powder form kelp is good, like iodine, but it's individual. And so what he did was he went to this, I don't know if it was a homeopathic doctor. I don't know what kind of a doctor it is, but you can Google this. In Canada, I have someone that I know who thinks that there's possibility of a link between autism and vaccines. And this person is looking at alternate ways to treat, again, this is very controversial, to treat, or at least try to do something to see if there's any link and if it could be detoxed from the body. And so there is I believe a place in Montreal, a place in Ottawa where you can do this. It's few and far between in Canada, but I know in the US, this is where my friend was getting this done. There's a lot more places, and they're more on board with it. There's more like it's more available, and there's a lot more expertise and experience in people doing this. And so it is individual. And so like my friend that I'm talking about, he had all his there's a lot of blood work and urine samples that need to be conducted in the saliva and stuff like that. And then once they look at the report of like how many heavy metals are in your body, like there's a chart and it breaks it down. And like he was through the roof in a lot of things. And he's like, yeah, Don, you probably have a lot of heavy metals in your body too, because of our career. We were both in the infantry. And so you're exposed just in that environment alone to a lot more heavy metals. And so that's where I got on this kick with the EDTA and other things to detox the body. And so I know this guy is almost over, but then I want to share a lot of his information that's online because he's actually been part of court cases. And Dane Wiginton is what his name is. And he's done books. It looks like there's been documentaries, there's biographies on him, and there's a lot of different things on him. And so I'm probably going to obsessively look at his content, just like I did with Dutch Sensei and the others that I've looked at with this stuff regarding the climate change stuff, because it's very important. It's on the board. It's very important.
You need to keep the buildup from happening.
Okay. All right. Dane Wiginton, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for your expertise. Thanks for your courage and telling the truth about all this. It affects everybody. I appreciate it. Everybody should check out geoengineeringwatch.org, geoengineeringwatch.org. And you should also watch the documentary The Dimming, which is available on YouTube, amazingly. And it has over 26 million views as of right now. Nice. So go check that out. Dane Wiginton, thank you very much for coming on again. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks to you. Thanks to Kurt. Thanks for your attention to the skies. And thanks for the best laughs I've had for a long time, guys. Very great.
I hope, man, why doesn't someone like him get friggin' hired by RFK Jr.? Well, I know why. Yeah, that guy, I think, is a Trojan horse of pushing this friggin' MAHA, biodigital convergence, wearable health friggin' monitoring devices. I don't think that's a good idea at all. But anyways, Dane Wiginton for president. So latest posts. So yeah, he's on X. It looks like he's on YouTube. I'm going to definitely follow him. So this is Wiginton versus McMartin climate change litigation. So he is like no joke. He brought suit against climate scientists and other defendants in connection with statements made by scientists in fact-checking review. Anyway, hijacking the weather with Dane Wiginton. Open minds, that's what Jimmy Dore was talking about. Dane Wiginton self, why in the world are they spraying? I am with you. I don't know. Because for me, this is some kind of a contained, pressurized, gaseous environment, and whatever you're dispersing in the environment, it's not going. It's here. It's here to stay, ladies and gentlemen. It's here to stay. His Facebook page. See, he's written friggin' books. Geoengineering, a chronicle of indictment. California drought manipulation conspiracy theory. Yeah, it's not a conspiracy theory if they're showing facts, respectfully. So this is from like over a year ago. Geoengineering Watch, Global Alert News. From Vice News, Dane Wiginton Archives. And the Vice News is not entirely credible, but anyway, I'm going to stop obsessing over this. It was very interesting to me because it's a very fascinating and important subject that I have done countless videos on. And yeah, so on that note, I will leave it at that, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of your day.